I'm Carly Gibson, and will Brett Kavanaugh's recent confirmation to the U.S. Supreme Court affect this year's midterm elections? That story coming up next.
I'm Reagan Blaha with midterm elections only weeks away. I'll tell you why NBC's Snapchat Stay Tuned is right here on campus. I'll have that story coming up next.
I'm Shelby Davis, and coming up next on WVU News, I'll take you to President Trump's 7th visit to the Mountain State. Wheeling was in the national spotlight recently as President Donald Trump made his 7th visit to the Mountain State. I'm Shelby Davis.
And I'm Bree Clark. Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the Supreme Court causes controversy after sexual misconduct allegations. Will his nomination affect your vote?
These stories and more on this special edition of WVU News. Election 2018, a nation divided.
West Virginia was one of only 2 states in the nation where President Donald Trump won every single county.
So it comes as no surprise that thousands of people line the streets of Wheeling for Trump's visit. A campaign rally of epic proportions. Some people even slept on the sidewalks to guarantee a spot inside the WesBanco Arena where Trump was scheduled to speak. And despite the chance of around 20 protesters, the support for President Trump was overwhelmingly positive.
We're happy that the hope we had before the election is being fulfilled. And it's now we come to continue our support, but also to unify with new Trump friends that we've met along the way.
His contract wasn't to make America holy again or sane again. Let's make it great. He's making it great.
But not everyone who attended Trump's rally believe he is making America great again. A group from Ohio came with Good Jobs Nation to voice their concerns about why they lost their jobs after Trump promised them he would keep them.
We're here to, try to make awareness of what's going on in our community and see why Trump is not, keeping his promise to, what he came and spoke to our community about. Why are we being the ones forgotten?
7,000 people lined up outside WesBanco Arena in hopes of becoming part of history as President Trump makes his 7th visit to the Mountain State. But jobs being outsourced wasn't the only concern for those attending the event. The fact that Trump supported Judge Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court has some questioning the president's motives.
What I saw with Judge Kavanaugh was a man who came unwound, was a man who did not exhibit a judge-like demeanor, was a man who looked guilty.
During his rally, Trump addressed the economy and campaigned for U.S. Senate Republican candidate Patrick Morrisey. Several recent poll results showed Democratic Senator Joe Manchin leads Republican candidate Patrick Morrisey by a margin of 8 to 12 points.
Politicians like Manchin and Morrisey are finding ways to lock down votes for millennials, a generation that can play a crucial role in the upcoming elections.
That's right, Bree. 78% of 18 to 24-year-olds use Snapchat, and NBC is using this social media platform to encourage millennials to vote. Reagan Blaha joins us now from Social Square to tell us more. Reagan?
The political landscape in America has changed dramatically over the past 25 years, especially right here in West Virginia. The state was blue for years, now it's red and is known to many as Trump country. That's just one reason that NBC's Stay Tuned on Snapchat selected West Virginia University to be part of a national conversation.
We're at West Virginia University where we made a bunch of new friends, and we're talking to a professor who's running for Congress.
5 universities over 5 weeks. Stay Tuned is NBC News' twice daily news show on Snapchat. In an effort to get young people interested in the voting process, they are taking their show on the road to college campuses like WVU.
So with Snapchat, Stay Tuned, they try to appeal to younger people. So when I get out of class, I always check my phone, I'm on Snapchat, and to have this on Snapchat is just super cool to see just because it's a quick little news thing. I got the news, I'm good to go.
Andrew Springer is the executive producer of Stay Tuned. He's also a West Virginia native.
I know what people in West Virginia are going through here. I know it's a hard place to be. It's a hard place to raise your kids, to go to work. It's a struggling state, and we wanted to tell that side of the national conversation.
WVU student Michael Martin is part of a roundtable discussion for Stay Tuned. Michael hopes that students will watch this program and will get out and vote.
I already know who I'm going to vote for. I've done my research for many months, but I do like to give my opinion.
Producers for Stay Tuned hope their overall message is clear.
So we want to make sure that this important demographic is really engaged ahead of the midterms and making sure that they know what's going on and making sure that, they're getting to ask the questions that are important to them.
Stay Tuned may be aimed at younger viewers, but host Gotti Schwartz takes viewers through topics ranging from national and international news to politics and pop culture. And producers say for this reason that Stay Tuned has a loyal following among millennials. In fact, 75% of their audience is under 25. And with the polls showing that voters under 30 made up only 13% of the midterm elections in 2014, getting millennials excited about this upcoming election is vital to our democracy. And a study by the Pew Research Center says it's only a matter of time before the baby boomers lose their long-standing voting advantage. Millennials have the greatest potential to boost their political clout by turning out in greater numbers at the polls. However, historically, this group has low voter turnouts in midterm elections.
Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the Supreme Court could have a huge impact on midterm elections, and polls have been showing that Democrats are more energized about voting in the midterms, listing Kavanaugh's nomination as a big factor in their vote. Carly Gibson joins us now from Studio B at the Media Innovation Center to tell us more. Carly?
According to the Nielsen ratings, more than 20 million people watched the Kavanaugh-Ford hearings. Dr. Christine Blasey Ford accused Kavanaugh of sexual assault while they were both in high school. Despite these accusations, the Senate confirmed Kavanaugh as the 114th Supreme Court Justice by a vote of 50 to 48. Now people are asking the question, how will this Kavanaugh controversy affect the midterms? Since the recent Kavanaugh confirmation made history, the country has been at odds. And according to Professor Ann LaFaso, the effects of this event will possibly not even be seen during these upcoming midterms.
What this dispute, or this dispute of how women were treated versus how men are treated, I think is going to have a long-term effect.
Recent polls show that this Supreme Court confirmation has the ability to help Republicans' chances in the Senate, but could hinder their chances in the House, with Democrats only needing to gain 13 of the 27 seats.
I have read things and I've seen some polls here and there about a lot of Republicans, especially Republican women, not being for the confirmation of Kavanaugh. So I really do hope that they get out and vote, and that will affect their candidates.
Democrats predict their ability to take the House this November is due to a new wave of women voters because of the Kavanaugh confirmation. However, both parties' enthusiasm rates are on the rise.
Kavanaugh hasn't affected people. Kavanaugh's affected people, but the politics are such that it's such an uphill struggle for Democrats that they don't have the votes in the right places to affect the midterms in the Senate. And that's what the real problem is for the Democrats. The Republicans just have to hang on.
Various red states have already seen a so-called Kavanaugh bump give significant gains to a Republican Senate. But with 30 days between Kavanaugh's confirmation and the elections on November 6th, the real question is, will this new eagerness last for either party? A new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll finds voters remain deeply divided along partisan lines due to Kavanaugh's nomination. 80% of Republicans say they favor his confirmation, while only 6% of Democrats approve his addition to the court. Now back to you at the Waterfront Studio.
Thanks, Carly. About 75% of U.S. adults get some of their news from social media. This is according to a study conducted by the Pew Research Center. So what does this mean when it comes to midterm elections? Well, more politicians are taking their messages to sites like Facebook and Twitter. Politicians and advocacy groups are turning to social media to get their message out to the masses. In fact, digital media will account for $1.8 billion of political spending, and many residents say it's a smart way for candidates to reach an audience.
Yeah, I mean, social media is such a big thing with today's generation, and I think we're at the age where it's hard for us to actually know a lot about politics and form our own opinions, so hearing somebody else's opinion, I feel like we go with the flow.
In fact, many attribute President Donald Trump's success to his understanding the power of social media.
Social media is where we get our information about the world, and since it's where we're already getting our information about the world, it's going to be our go-to choice for getting information about elections.
There's no denying that social media has changed the way we get our information, but will it change the way we vote? With 82% of adults using social media, experts say yes, social media does influence voters, and that can be a problem.
It impacts them both in a positive and a negative way, because people are very much into social media in today's world.
A New York Times analysis of data from the social accounts of hundreds of candidates reveals that Democrats have a sizable national lead in engagement on both Facebook and Instagram. Democrats' national success on social media may not translate to the blue wave many liberals are hoping for at the polls. That's because much of the left firepower is concentrated among a few of its high-profile candidates, namely Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts.
Thanks, Bree. It's 2018 and equality is still a topic of discussion among Americans.
That's right. Coming up after the break, sports reporter Julia Mellett joins us in the studio to tell us how a law from the 70s creates equal opportunity for all WVU athletes.
In 1972, legislation passed that would forever affect women in the workplace and in athletics. I'm Julia Mellett. Coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you how that affected WVU sports.
We conquer mountains. But that's not why they call us mountaineers. It's because we don't let anything stand in our way. We build what's never been built. Seek cures for the incurable. And go first into undiscovered frontiers. We are mountaineers, and impossible is just another mountain to climb.
Welcome back to our special edition of WVU News. Election 2018, a nation divided. In 1972, less than 38,000 females participated in intercollegiate athletics.
Today, over 200,000 women participate in NCAA sports. Sports anchor Anderson Small has more. Anderson?
Thanks, Shelby. Bree. The Title IX law signed by Nixon guarantees equality in sports for both male and female athletes at any school that receives federal funding, from the university to the elementary level. WVU was affected by this law and continues to offer Division I opportunities to female athletes. In a country where equality is sometimes up for question, sports reporter Julia Mellett checked in with the athletic program's Title IX policies. Julia?
Women's teams make up a large portion of West Virginia athletics. Fair treatment is required by law, regardless of gender. I went to a few school sporting events to find out more about Title IX right here at WVU.
Signed into law in 1972 by President Richard Nixon, the impact of Title IX is especially evident at schools like WVU.
Athletic departments have not only sports for men and women, but also co-ed sports like rifle that allow athletes of different genders to compete side by side.
It's the only true co-ed sport in the NCAA where the men and women are competing together.
Olympic gold medalist Ginny Thrasher has no problem competing against men and says that her time on the WVU rifle team is helping prepare her for a job in STEM.
As an engineer myself, I like the fact that I can go into a workplace and be respected and be able to complete my work on the same level. And I think having men and women together, promoting different ideas with diversity of thought and background, I think is a great thing, and it raises the level for people in their careers and in athletics.
For sports in the Coliseum, the process of adding Division I athletic opportunities for females began in 1973.
In 1970, when the Coliseum first opened, it only housed WVU's men's basketball team. Then, in 1973, WVU also added women's basketball, gymnastics, and volleyball.
For sports like soccer, basketball, and swimming that have both men's and women's teams, Title IX has played a large role in that equality.
Without Title IX being passed, I wouldn't be here playing soccer, there wouldn't be a program here.
But at the end of the day, all athletes compete to win, and the joy of success should be available to everyone. Even though the educational amendments of 1972 never explicitly stated sports as a beneficiary, many emerging Title IX claims are related to equality on the playing field.
Thanks, Julia. That's a pretty interesting story, Bree. Well, that's it for this week's special edition of WVU News. Election 2018, a nation divided. You can visit us online on our website.
You can also watch our shows on YouTube, and please follow us and our reporters on Twitter. I'm Bree Clark.
And I'm Shelby Davis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.